Genie grind and watch him get rich, huh? Remember when I said I hit a lick, huh? I don't really wanna fuck the bitch, what? Willie went and made another hit, okay, like Prada on my motherfucking kid, huh? Louis on my motherfucking hip, huh? Curry how I dunk, no switch, hey, fucker gonna fuck that bitch, hey, if you ain't gon' fuck with me, you a dumb fuck, put up a hit but feel like one punch, look at my bank and I'm getting dumb rich, and I'm gonna count it up till 100,
Hello world, I am What If Steady, and today we are doing What If Deku Was abandoned and a druid. We'll start off with Deku, starting his life not exactly on the right foot, exactly the wrong foot, as his father was instantly harsh on him, trying to make him what he considered to be a man's man, one that was trained for combat and, helping up a family of his own. He wanted to create the type of man that he was, the type of man that he could never be even. But that would come later, as first he would need to survive in this world, this harsh world, where, things of the forest. I would say that this world is different, actually, in some fundamental ways, where not only humans are given quirks, animals are too. All animals are, given different quirks, and they all range from intelligent quirks, which are very much more common in animals than in humans, because they dearly need it, and that sort of changes the way the world works, where first priority is living. Second is actually, living out that life that you have secured for yourself. So having a powerful quirk was everything in this world. People were basically bred for fighting nature. They created fighting parties, different hunting parties, monster hunters that would go out and kill specific targets so that nature would not overflow and take over all of the world. However, Deku was soon to find out that with that strong quirk, he gained the power to control nature. Not one of controlling animals, no. It was one to help it grow throughout him. His body would be consumed by nature, although he held that back for now. His father, enlightened by this, gets an almost evilish grin, as his mother is quite proud of him. They toss him into the system of the hunters, the most esteemed hunter program in the world. However, that hunter program was corrupted. Thousands of hunters child prodigies that went into the hunter programs were taught to hate this nature, taught to hate everything around them, taught to hate what to do in surviving, to get rid of your party first, as they are the biggest, as they will have the most power. If they get stuck in nature, in those particular environments, they will have to cut off the weakest parts of your party. If you have a 20-member party, only 10 of you can survive for that many days with such a powerful being roaming around, especially because it's so uncertain when you go out in the wilderness. Deku was taught the most harshest realities. He regretted even having a quirk. He wished it could all just go away. But he was given the limelight. Everything started to go his way, where everyone was praising him for his survival rate was incredible. For only a 5-year-old, it's incredible to even survive one hunting raid. Nevertheless, how many they sent him on. They were hellish raids, things that no one would want to go on, things you could see in your nightmares. So many parties gone, and yet he would still survive. Although he knows why now. All of those parties that had died were murdered by his teammates, the ones that were closest to him, his best friends. they were trained to be assassins. He figured this out a long time ago. He was just suppressed for so long. By the age of 7, he was already indoctrinated into this murder society of getting rid of priority targets that were paid to go out into the hunters, basically. Some hunters started to gain so much power from their quirks that they said that they were hearing voices inside their heads, ones that were telling them to not trust those in their party, as they were knocked off almost faster than political targets. Deku said, "Fuck this. I don't want to kill anymore. I haven't had to kill. I've just been in the limelight now. Everybody's loved me until All Might, all for one. In this society of murder and taking advantage of hunters, who are the ones that are the real villains? Who are the ones that they can thrust all of their emotions upon? The ones that are the stereotypical villains. That's at least what he tells me. All I know is that he can help as he goes down into the underground. Quite sufficient with his own quirk of being able to, turn his whole body into vines. He'd basically be able to get out of any situation. So he's fine as he goes down to the underground. As he walks into the main prison area where it was made out of a prison, which had changed and ingrown all of these different plants and different animals that had walked around that place. And then Toga, walking forward, was it disguised as a panther. However, he instantly, just shoots a little green ball at her, and she's like, fine, so hesitant, jeez, quick on the dry. As then he says, I'm here to see him. As she's like, okay, all business, I guess. Yeah, come here, kid. As then she leads him into the room as she, prances, doing that shit, how she would do insanely. As he walks into the gigantic test tube room where there's a gigantic syringe right above a hunkering down seat. As he's gestured to go into it, he's very, very nervous about this because he might not be able to save himself after this. However, as he looks down to us, as he looks towards the door, suddenly a dart is shot into his neck, which makes him fall asleep. As then he wakes up in the middle of a process, as the syringe drives itself down into his on his head. It starts to suck out something else than himself. It was his quirk. It was taking out everything, sucking every single bit of it until it was dry. He could feel it. His body was nothing more. And then after that, they hoisted him up. Posted it all along. These articles online, different things. And then in the middle of town square, the nation's signifying house of royalty, and also in the middle of the royalty's house was a town square which connected every main city in the middle of the continent. At this one pinnacle place where thousands of businesses thrived, there was a stage as Deku was hoisted up and showed to have no quirk as he rattles trying to get out of hatred for everyone, hatred for this whole game. He's been playing this game since he was a kid. Why would he care anymore? Why should he care about humans? As his hate even reaches the gods. He's absolutely livid at every single moment that passes. His reputation diminished. It was the one thing he had left. He didn't want to kill anybody. No one wanted to kill anybody. As he learned one thing today. Never never trust anyone. As he wants to walk among the people once more, but he doesn't know if he'll trust anybody that he'll walk next to. He doesn't know if he can walk down a street without being stabbed. He doesn't know if he can live in this world, so he might as well stay caged like a bird in the sunlight. So beautiful, so majestic, but a bird with its wings cut off. As his hatred, his desire to leave, his desire to frolic among the people again, to walk out into the meadows and just be alone and no longer have to play this game. It's heard. The town starts to notice odd things happen at night, until a strike upon Deku's cage. The one that was holding his cage up, the line had been cut by a hero that has a crossbow as a weapon. As he opens up the cage and starts running, few policemen follow him from behind. However, one gets an arrow straight through the neck, and another one looks up behind and then gets shot through the eye. As then the next one gets a shot on the foot as he grabbed onto Deku's foot, and he would not let go until Deku used all of his strength and stomped the guy's face in, completely blood splattering everywhere, and the brain particles splattered onto his shoe. He leaves as fast as he can. He ducks and dives all throughout the city until he finally reaches an outpouring of nuclear waste. He had no choice. As he jumps into the nuclear waste and makes his exit way through that out into the forest, he falls up along the waste and walks up into the forest that he sees near him. Deers, all animals of the such, romping around. So beautiful, so majestic. He can't leave this. He doesn't want to. As he takes a rest on the most closest tree branch, he rests up on the tree branch so that nobody would see him if he was to rest down there. The next day he gets to working on a treehouse of his own until a guardian, something of mythical legend that have only been seen, pops up right behind him. Mythically beautiful women, and they're all made out of leaves. As she pops up behind him saying, "You're not allowed to do that," as he stops the hammer from knocking in the next nail and just freaks out and almost falls from the tree. However, some vines catch him in the middle of the air and let him down onto his feet. As he says, "What the fuck? What are you?" As she says, "Please don't ask that question. It takes so long for these little nitpicks with humans that decide to transgress on the forest. Please, just don't make one of those ugly buildings once more in our lovely trees in the forest. That's all I ask." As he says, "Yeah, I can." As she says, "Wait a minute." As she places her hand on his head, the hole that had been made in the middle of his head where a third eye would have been placed, she can feel it. As she stares into his eyes, she says, "I'll be right back." As she starts to walk out into the forest, he's like, "No, I can't just sit here." And she's like, "Sit now." As he's the voice commands, some sort of magic sits him down forcefully. However, the sheer will of him, he breaks out of it, lunging up into the air, and then dashes off into the forest after her, following her through a middle of groves, twine needles, and all sorts of things that cut open scars on him and, permanently scar him quite a lot, and especially ones on his shoulders. Until finally he makes it throughout it, using a branch to break through the last set of needles. As then it opens up into a gigantic valley, tree infested and beautiful beyond compare. He couldn't believe that this was only somewhat of 3 miles away from where he lived. It seemed impossible. Dragons flowed throughout the air. The human demons without a sound here. There's no sinning. There's no evil. It's all-encompassing as it follows him down to his knees as he's so shocked. He couldn't believe it until he hears. What the fuck? As he turns his back slowly, shoulder over shoulder. He grinds his teeth together as his eyes flick around to see behind him a body. No, the body, almost unrecognizable by this point, of the Druid that had walked up to him. The mythical being was being eaten. No way. It was a saber-tooth. One of the bigger ones, too, by the looks of it. Gigantic, huge. The demonic possession in its eyes almost destroyed his willpower in one look. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Her body ripped open, the ribs splayed out like sushi. He's dead. There's no way to run away from something that's almost 25 times your weight. It'll catch up to me in no time. I'm dead. As the whole valley opens up to a waterfall below him. The only choice. I have to. As then the waterfall is almost 200 feet. As then the saber-tooth looks up to him. As he starts dashing straight towards the cliff, the saber-tooth also jumps straight at him. And, he falls down into the gigantic waterfall, almost 200 feet down. It splashes into the water, losing all sort of consciousness. However, once he starts to open up his eyes, once again, he feels good. Better than good. Actually, it hurts. It hurts, but it feels good. What is this? What is happening? As then he starts to open his eyes, barely able to, as it seems like he was almost in a catatonic state almost, as his whole body feels sore and unused. As he barely picks himself up, he almost hits the rock edge right above him, as he finds that he's in a cave. Sigils all around him and Druid people watching him, wondering, studying. What is this human doing here? He jumped into the sacred lake. What? Do you mean the one that... Oh my god. No way. You dare disrespect our traditions, human? Not like we even let you. We put that god system here just in case you're type 1 after us. And now you make businesses out of it. How do you plead, human? As the girl from before, the lady Druid, comes out saying, "Don't blame him for the humans. Excuse me. The humans' idioticness." As she says, he's just a boy, all right. As he's like, well, top hunter in the world, but yeah, just a boy, I guess. As she's like, yes, see, he's just a boy. as all the rest of them are like kind of back off a little bit, as she says, he dipped into the sacred lake. We could at least house him for at least a little longer. They say no more than 3 months. As she's like, oh, god damn it. As they all start to leave, as he's like, what is happening? She says, we found some sort of problem with you. I felt it when I felt your head. The whole inside of it had been used to take away your mana, wasn't it? My mana? Yes. You see, we were all humans once. Oh yeah, you died. Oh, that's right. Druids can make infinite bodies out of, well, vines. That was my original body, so I'm kind of pissed. However, well, the saber-tooth will get away for this time. We don't exactly know where he went. As Deku remembers back to the saber-tooth jumping into the waterfall with him. He's like, oh yeah, totally don't know where he went, as he wants to keep this information to himself. After all, he doesn't exactly trust her yet. She says, well, actually we do know what happened. After going into the sacred waterfall without being worthy, well, it turned insane. It gained massive muscle power and almost gained a mind of its own and became demonic. If it wasn't demonic before, it surely did from the sacred waterfall. But all we know is that you didn't go insane from going in the spirit waterfall. What do you mean? Well, that means that you're the worthy one. The one that represents humanity. The Druid of humanity. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you all enjoyed this episode. I'll be doing a second one for sure. And I'll see you there. Goodbye.